Good afternoon and welcome everyone. We are so excited to be here today on our next model of our Women Expert program. And for me, it has been such an amazing journey this past 3 weeks. We have learned, if you go by it, in terms of all the different areas, we have learned about e-commerce, we have learned about what resources are available. We have learned many topics that put a piece of the puzzle as you're working in your journey and in your business journey. And today we have great topics that I was talking to our guest speakers that really give you another perspective for you to think about as you're developing and growing your business, and perspectives that make a difference. Something to talk about, what is that customer experience? What does that mean? And usually we think, is it the customer leaves with a smile on their face or not? But there's a whole part of the journey that goes through the process as they interact with you. And what does customer experience mean from an e-commerce perspective, right? How are you going to evaluate that part? So we're going to learn about that today. We're also going to talk about packaging, and you may roll your eyes, but packaging does make a difference. And we're going to learn about that perspective, why packaging makes a difference. And many times packaging is the calling card that your customers receive from you, and that makes a big difference from that respect. And last but not least is I love the title of this, right? Customer experience is a competitive battleground. And we're going to hear about why is that a battleground, and how does that make a difference for you to be competitive as a business. So today I'm joined by three amazing speakers. I'm very excited to be joined by them, and I know you're going to really enjoy our conversation and our topics. And I'm going to introduce them at the beginning right now, so that we don't go again through the introductions, because I know we have a lot of work to do and a lot of topics to cover. So our first speaker is going to be Miriam Taz, who is our customer experience manager for UPS. And Miriam, you have a extensive experience on customer experience, marketing insights, and you have a lot of understanding how it impacts customer experience and how is it impacted in the European region. You have played important roles within our company, and in terms of how do we address this area. So I'm so excited to be here. And you have I will say over 20 years of experience, Miriam, more or less. I'm trying not to date ourselves. We all started at 5, so that everybody knows, right? We're not here on that part. But Miriam, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here. I love that you hold a master's in commercial engineering. Different perspective, right? And it gives you an angle from another side. Then we're going to have Justina Bialoglowicz, is a UPS marketing manager who is responsible for all the aspects supporting the growth of UPS e-commerce customers. And I know, Justina, it has not been not a dull moment in the past 3 years, I believe, or more. So we're very excited to have you here. And I love that you have had experience of how you developed solutions for different products, right? Packaging solutions for different products, which gives you a different perspective. And really, you're down in the ground in the day-to-day. What are the challenges that our customers face? And I love your experience in marketing too. Welcome, and love hearing from you later today, Justina. Thank you. And last but not least, and I didn't even let you say hello. Hello, Justina. Welcome. And last but not least is Lynette Sanders, who's a senior analyst in the research team at eConsultancy, where you develop recommendations and briefings on how to best approach digital marketing, right? And how's that industry work? And today, you're going to share some of those tidbits and some of those areas of recommendations for the business. What are the trends? What are the trainings that people need to be aware of? And I love how you have had also experience in the UK. You work for the Cancer Research in the UK and the Royal Mail Group, and you have had different perspectives. Lynette, thank you for being here with us.
True pleasure. Thank
you. Thank you. Together we'll bring a lot of wisdom to this conversation. So first we're gonna have Miriam, and Miriam, I'm gonna welcome you to the podium, virtual podium, and you're gonna talk to us today about the customer experience. And
Sure.
so welcome, Miriam. Looking forward to hearing from you. For our participants, if you have any questions Miriam, before we go into the full presentation, there's a Q&A box where you can put the questions. Please feel free to put in them and we'll answer them as we get them. Thank you. Miriam, welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to talk to you about customer experience. So welcome to the session today. So what I'm going to talk to you about is why is it important to focus on customer experience? We will look into the different steps of the customer journey. We will explore retention strategies and tools that can be used to support retention. And at the end, you will have a better understanding on how to further develop your customer experience in order to grow your business. The customer experience is actually a result of all the possible interactions clients and prospects have with your business. Ultimately, it's the impression that you leave behind, and it will define how they think about your brand, how they think about your business, and whether or not they want to do business with you, whether it's for the first time or whether it's to return over and over again. Delivering an excellent customer experience can really help your business to grow faster because of a multitude of different reasons. One thing we know is that satisfied customers are likely to return more frequently and spend more. We also know that taking ownership of issues and resolving them fast can really contribute in creating loyal customers. And loyal customers will also recommend you to their friends, to their colleagues, and to their family. And ultimately, it can actually become a competitive advantage, which then also can become quite challenging to copy it, especially if you're very good in terms of executing on your whole customer experience. Within the customer journey, you can actually identify 5 different steps, which go from awareness up to loyalty. So awareness is about the customer identifying their needs, start to do some preliminary research in potential solutions, potential products or services. And the kind of touch points within this phase can be ads, can be the website, can be word of mouth. During the consideration phase, comparisons will be made between the different products and the services of the different players on the market. Customers will be building a greater understanding of the different products or service characteristics of the different competitors. And within this phase, sales interactions can be one of the touch points that come into play here. Once the product or the service is purchased, businesses can still further engage customers in a post-purchase process that might or might not include requesting reviews, do some further product education, look into possible returns, depending on the business. It can contain of any form of after-sales service, any issue resolution processes, and so on. Developing loyalty and advocacy is the last step in the process. It's like the final phase. And of course, here you will have, again, a multiple amount of touch points, which can consist of loyalty rewards, personalized offers, and so on. So all the particular touch points that define each of the steps of the customer journey can be very different from one business to another. These touch points can be offline or online. And I would say that these days, more and more, you probably have that mix of off and online. Some of the touch points might be more proactive. Other touch points might be more reactive in nature. You might want to consider to personalize some of the touch points or to tailor touch points to different customer segments that you would like to target. Um, so all in all, I mean, it looks like a very simple model, but it's actually really important to consider carefully how you want to interact with your customers at all those different touch points. Is, by the way, customers and prospects. And of course, the more consistent your experience is across all those different touch points, the bigger the lasting impact will be for your customers and for your prospects, and ultimately for you as a business.
Miriam, if I may jump in here, I was listening to you, and I love from that perspective is like, how does the customer, if the customer feels part of the family of the business, right, in each point, like the business does
Yeah.
care, like you're asking me about how's my experience going, or you're giving me all the information I need about the product. That's the essence of it, right, in that step, to make certain that the business feels part of your community as a business.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah, very interesting. Sorry,
Um,
jumping in.
no problem at all. Um, so one of the things to consider as part of your journey is also to think about opportunities for personalization, but also providing sufficient opportunities or sufficient options so that customers can select what addresses best their needs at different moments in times. So to give an example, when it comes to shipping, um, when it comes to shipping, you might want to think about several options in terms of delivery speed, some faster, some slower. You might be thinking about offering options between a home delivery or a delivery and an access point. In the case of returns, you also might again think about different return options, which might depend on the type of goods that you're selling, but might also depend on whether or not it's an international shipment. And in the case of international shipments, you need to adhere to all the customer requirements. So you might want to think about maybe easier solutions that are available in the market. Consider also how you want to engage with your customers in the post-purchase process, and how you want to do the follow-up after the purchase happened, but also how do you want to interact in the next phases. Again, here the options can be very diverse and can also depend very much on the type of the business that you are running. So you can think, for example, about, especially within an online environment, sending notifications as an order confirmation, but you might also think about sharing product education through small videos or step-by-step guides. You might requesting reviews from your customers, which is a way to show that you really value your opinion. But just be conscious that before you start sending out those requests, clearly think about how you want to do the follow-up on any alerts that might be coming in, because nothing is as bad as a customer voicing a concern and nobody taking care of it promptly. For some businesses, it might make sense to send also reminders to buy again around the expected replenishment date. As you run your business, you might need to find a good mix between, at the one hand, retention, and at the other hand, acquisition to grow your business. A focus on retention can be a very cost-effective solution, as in general, it costs 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. Also, the probability to sell will be substantially higher with an existing customer than with a new one. And when you're launching new products or new services, your existing customers are actually more likely to try them out. While with new customers, you will need to do some more efforts. And then finally, increasing customer retention can also help in boosting your profits. So I would say overall, it's important for your business to identify what really drives loyalty amongst your customers so that you're able to use those insights to continue to strengthen the long-term relationship with your customers. And of course, next to your retention strategy, you need to think as well about your acquisition strategy, because of course you want to continue to grow as well your customer base. In terms of retention strategies, there can be different possibilities, such as preventing a customer from churning by detecting early warning signals, looking at their purchasing habits, or you might thinking about a well-targeted special offers that can be developed based on the purchase history. You might be considering personalized communication, which will feel your customers special, as you know what they are interested in. And then last but not least, you might also think about a rewards program for your most profitable and your biggest customers, to make sure that you really reward them for being loyal to your business. Research has shown that actually the most important reason for customers to churn is that they do not feel taken care of, or they do not feel valued sufficiently as a customer. So for any business, it's actually a must to think about the kind of tools that you need to put in place to gain a more in-depth understanding of your customers, to be able to further develop that long-lasting customer relationship and make sure that they really feel valued. A customer database, which usually is being referred to as a CRM or a customer relationship management database, is one of those tools that can really help in organizing all the relevant information and client interactions to provide that more personalized approach, whether it's in terms of the touch points, whether it's in terms of the offers you put forward, your customer care, and so on. The kind of information a CRM database can contain are, of course, the personal data, but it might also include the source of your leads, which at the same time can give you some insights on their preferred channels. It might provide a record of all the different interactions between your company and the customer, which of course gives you an indication of the frequency of the interactions, but might also give you some indication of any early warnings on recurring issues. It can provide insights into the purchase history of your customers, which again can be a good source for any future personalized offers. And any other additional information that might be deemed relevant to interact with customers in the future can also be contained within this database. As we are talking about keeping customer data, please be mindful that the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, is also applicable here. And the GDPR regulates how personal data can be used and stored. It sets the rules for gathering opt-ins prior to sending marketing messages. It ensures an easy way to opt out. And I mean, by no means is this a full and complete guidance on the GDPR, as UPS is not the expert in GDPR, and it's up to every business to make sure compliance is there with all the different regulations. So to sum up, so good customer experience will drive loyalty, higher revenues, and potentially result in a competitive advantage. The customer journey is the sum of all the experiences customers go through when interacting with your business across a wide range of different touch points. Customers really appreciate personalization and they want to feel valued. Focusing on customer retention is a very cost-effective way to grow your business. And of course, different retention strategies can be deployed, leading to an increased loyalty, revenue, and profit. And finally, a good CRM database will enable containing and supporting everything you need to really build that long-lasting relationship with your customers.
Thank you so much, Miriam. This is really fascinating, right? And I love the perspective of understanding how important it is for every step of your interaction with the customer or potential customer, right? They might not
Indeed.
finish ending the product that day, but they might remember the experience of going through it.
Yes,
And that makes a big difference. And Miriam, many of these steps might not cost as much money for small businesses, right?
indeed. Yes.
And it's something that I think it doesn't matter your size of your business. Having this in mind allow you to keep that process in place and make the adjustments that you might need to have. Great.
Indeed. It really meant as a bit of a guidance to sort of think through all your different touch points, because of course there is many different touch points you might have with your customer and your prospects, and to really consciously think about what are the kinds of things you really want to convey with your customers. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Miriam. And for those that are
That's
asking us, yes, the presentation will be shared with you. Hold on here, Miriam. At the end, we'll have some more Q&A. But thank you. Really appreciate your sharing that important information. So now I'm gonna welcome to the stage Justina. Justina, and I'm gonna pronounce your last name because we practice. So this should be so Justina Bialoglowicz. Did I do it correctly? I
Well,
missed some.
above the average.
Justina, thank you so much for being here today. And now that Miriam has given us a perspective of that customer experience, we're going to talk about packaging. And people might not understand so many things that happen with packaging, right? That might make a difference of how the product makes it or arrives or not. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome to the podium. And thank you so much for sharing the information today with us and your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Maria Luisa. Hey guys, good to be here. Lovely to speak to you about packaging. So, shipping and packaging is a marriage, right? That's why we as a shipping company care so much about the packaging. It's also a huge topic. So today I'm going to focus on a specific aspect of it, which is the customer experience, and probably give you a little bit of more food for thoughts rather than specific regulations and details on the packaging. But I'll guide you as to where to find these. So very quickly, I wanted to ask you a question. How many, and you don't need to answer, I probably know the answer. How many of you have ordered an item online that came damaged or came in a very poor quality box that was broken, or it was filled with like unimaginable amount of plastic, or maybe it was way too big for the item? Well, in all of these cases, you noticed, right? And it all added to the overall experience and perception of the brand that you have. And then there's quite a lot of things to consider, right? You don't want your customer to share those experiences that you've had. As indicated by many different researchers, we've grouped all of those aspects, all of those things into three key factors that we want to stay with you to put you on the right path in terms of packaging and customer experience. First and foremost, safety is key. Okay, so according to survey, and we've gone through a lot of them, the one conducted by Smithers Peter, 58% of the customers have admitted that a packaging damage would deter them from buying again from the same vendor or the same merchant. So selecting the safest packaging option is key, but often not very easy, especially for the very fragile items. And wrapping your stuff in a countless layers of bubble wrap doesn't always do the job and it's not sustainable. So it is crucial that you have appropriate packaging for the product that you're shipping, okay? And it is crucial that it arrives safely to the customer. Sustainability, customer expect sustainability nowadays, right? It's a given. 42% of online shoppers claim that sustainable packaging would compel them to buy again. Especially for those brands that advocate quality and social responsibility. We know from many studies that the customers don't want to see plastic, right? Finding a lot of single-use plastic in their packaging is something that deters them. And plastic, admittedly, merchant claims that is the cheapest option to package your goods, right? So there has to be a balance. And thirdly, you can see that unboxing experience is something that comes up quite a lot and increasingly more in conversations about the packaging, right? And then brands admit that this is something that adds value to products. So having the safety and the sustainability covered are just two basic components of customer experience with packaging, right? But maybe it's worth investing in that wow factor about the packaging, right? We even do have some statistics for that. So, distribution packaging report by .com. That report claims, and it's a very recent one, that the use of branded or gift-like packaging for online orders makes the customer much more likely to recommend the product to friends. To sum it up, again, it's all about the balance. Okay, so let's go through some tips that may help you discover all those three areas. First and foremost, you have to start by considering the nature of your product and asking yourself the questions. Are you sure you have the right packaging? How much money do you lose on damages? Right? Safety is something that costs you money and also impacts your customer experience in a negative way, right? Well, it may not be very complicated to ship a t-shirt. A padded envelope can be enough. When you have a more complicated, more fragile items, you need to give some more consideration into the safety aspect, right? So, or if you have multiple items in an order shipped at the same time. Material inside of the packaging is also very important for more specialized items like food. It's important what food comes in contact with, or maybe healthcare products require temperature sensitive packaging. So there's also something to consider. There are also specific regulations in different countries that you might be expanding to or shipping to as well in regards to certain packaging option and certain commodities that you're shipping. Okay, so all of that you need to kind of take into consideration at the very beginning, whether you're expanding your business or you're starting your online channel. When selecting the packaging, there are some key things to consider, right? It's hard to talk about all of the commodities at the same time because it's very dependent on your product. But regardless of the product that you're shipping, having a quality, sturdy outer box is a basic, right? Because the outer box protects your, or the shipping box protects your goods from external factors. And the cardboard grade is very important, right? Not all boxes the same, not all boxes have the same cardboard grade. So please do make sure that you consult that, and that is appropriate to the nature of the product that you're shipping, its size, and its weight. It's very important. It's also important to remember that packaging is a set of outer box and what's inside as well. So what's inside to protect your product from the inside is also part of the packaging, right? So for example, it is important to protect your product from damage that can be caused by a drop or hitting another package in the shipper's network, right? So it's very important. For example, there are packaging solutions that include both outer packaging or the box, and also has a specialized inserts, right? There's a lot of different types of testing that test the strength of the cardboard and provides you with a certification of a certain box, or test the whole solution. Like, for example, it is very typical to drop test packaging for glass items like wine bottles, for example. Another aspect, it's also very important to label and seal your box when you're shipping. Some people may not think about it, but there's a lot of damages that happen when the box opens in transit, right? And the contents fell out of the packaging, right? So that is also very important. Label your package properly to ensure the right time in transit. There won't be any confusion about what you're shipping inside. And also make sure that you seal it properly, okay? There is a special service that we also provide for more fragile items, the items that require special handling, and there are stickers for that to indicate what's inside of the package. Moving on to the sustainability side of things. So there's quite a lot of debate recently, I've been reading, going on about the real sustainability of paper, and if it's really the right option when you consider the deforestation and the CO2 cost of production and transportation. But however, based on studies and customer experience studies specifically, customers want paper. Customers want, they don't want plastic. They want solutions that are fully corrugated, as we say, in terms of packaging. So it is very important for you, first and foremost, to make sure that the packaging that you're sourcing comes from a reputable producer. Okay, so you know where the packaging, where the material that you're using is coming from. Very, very important. What I also want to mention in that section, it might seem expensive at the very beginning, but we do recommend that you consult your packaging with a packaging expert, right? Packaging companies nowadays provide quite a lot of free, good advice and insights about your packaging. And at the beginning, it may seem like an investment. In the long run, it can save you a lot of money, right? Right fit for your product is always good in terms of saving money on paper and the shipping cost as well, right? The bigger the box, the more expensive the package is, regardless of the carrier. And another key point here, reusing packaging, because there's a lot of questions that we get about reusing packaging. So while it's probably okay to ship some sweets to a friend in a box that you got your order from, do not use it to send orders to your customers, right? Maybe the packaging seems okay on the outside, but the cardboard degrades with time and with moisture, right? So we do not really recommend that. We do provide a recycling solution if you want to choose another recycling option. UPS driver can pick up packaging when they're used packaging, and we're going to recycle it as well. So that's a solution, something that you can find more information on ups.com if you're interested as well. We do provide that solution. Moving on to the third box, unboxing experience. And this is the fancy part of the packaging, because packaging provides you quite a lot of potential. So once sustainability and safety is covered, would you like to add something extra? Or would you like to invest in a custom printed box designed specifically for your product? All right. So creating that level of excitement for the customers when they open the package can really distinguish you from the competitor. And we've seen quite a lot of great boxes in our UPS career being shipped. There's definitely that added value to the experience of your brand. And you can be creative about it, but you can be also pragmatic about it. According to the .com study that I quoted before, more than any other stuff that the customer wants to find in the package, they want to find a return label. 63% of the surveyed customers said that it would be great to have a return label in the box, right? It would be great to receive surprise giveaways. 45% people said that, or coupons, right? So there is definitely, this is definitely the area that you would like to consider, and the area that you would think that you might invest in. Maybe let's take a look at some of the examples. I wanted to show you two of the solutions that UPS works close with the packaging producers on. We do offer a variety of them. We stay close to the packaging producers around the world to make sure that our customers have great packaging at their fingertips. It can be either customized packaging or a ready solution, as you can see here. So one of them is roller technology, as you can see on the left side of the slide. And this is a great box because it's fully sustainable, it's safe, and provides that extra ready-to-wear, wrinkle-free garment to you from a producer. It's a great packaging, very popular packaging, and it comes with all sizes. Or there's another option that we designed specifically for us, for alcohol customers, and that is unique for UPS. We designed it in partnership with Sealed Air, who's a huge packaging producer. It's a box for the UK shippers of gin and whiskey specifically. So we know the alcohol comes in all shapes and forms and sizes of the bottles. We wanted to have a off-the-shelf solution that is presentable, sustainable, and great on the unboxing side. So you can see that there are 4 boxes. The bottle is nicely suspended in a plastic film. However, that plastic is less than 5% of the whole pack, which is probably comparable to the content of the sellotape that you use to seal the box. And that means that it can be recycled fully with paper, so that plastic is negligible. But it does provide you with a great, can accommodate different types of bottles and provide you with a great security of that particular bottle. So very quickly, this is quite a few tips for you. I hope I provided you with some food of thought in terms of packaging and customer experience.
I love it, Justina, and it's so fascinating to think about what are the challenges and areas that our customers have, right? And what are the options? I especially love the sustainability angle, right? This is something that I see a lot. I've been blessed to oversee our Women Exporter program globally and talking about sustainability. And in the UK, it's a big, important item, right? That perspective of how do we have sustainable packaging.
Exactly, yes, and packaging is a huge topic, because we have people sometimes don't have an idea of how big sector in a business is packaging, right? And how much raw materials it does require to provide that packaging, which is very often a single-use item, right?
I get it. Very interesting. And we have had cases where bad packaging has damaged a relationship and they have lost customers, right? I always think about, there was a customer from Mexico that was exporting piñatas and they were using other company, and I'm not saying because it was UPS, you can use whoever you want, just make certain that you do your homework. But their piñatas were arriving, were being left outside the house and raining, and so when they opened the piñata was all damaged. And so that's when they reach out to us, and it made a big difference, right? How we package it and make certain that the piñata made it all the way, so the kid was happy, right? You don't want the piñata to not be fine before the birthday.
Exactly, because you may have the best shipping company working with you in the world, but if the packaging is not right, it's
exactly
just experience. Yeah.
Exactly. So many examples. Thank you so much, my dear Justina. Stay here. We will have questions. And now, last but not least, is the amazing Lynette Sanders. Lynette, welcome. I am so excited to hear your presentation, right? And really be able to understand what are those angles that businesses have to be aware of that may make a difference, right? Of them being competitive and them being able to have a more successful approach to business. So, my dear Lynette, welcome, and I leave you here in the podium.
Great, thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure to be here today as well. So, as Maria said, my name is Lynette Saunders. I'm a senior analyst in the research team at eConsultancy. And I chose this title today because I think, we can all agree that the last year, the pandemic, it has continued to place high importance on delivering that customer experience. And we are seeing customer experience is the competitive battleground. I won't go through myself. Maria kindly introduced herself at the beginning, but I've been with eConsultancy for 7.5 years now. And I think, what we are seeing is that the quality of the customer experience being delivered is a key factor in determining, whether your customers remain loyal to yourselves or whether they switch to a competitor. We also know that customers rate their experience against their best interaction. And today's experience bar is being set by the world's leading digital platforms. So, is the competitive battleground? It continues to be supported by research. We've got 84% of customers saying, the experience a company provides is as important as its products or services. And we've certainly continued to see the need for companies to optimize the customer experience dominate for the last probably 10 years from our digital trends survey that we carry out annually. And it has shown that growing disparity between companies that adopt a CX focus and those that don't. And I think, we really saw 2020 throw that distinction into sharp relief. It showed not only are companies with a strong customer experience likely to achieve long-term growth, but they were the ones that were better positioned to adapt to those changes in customer behavior we saw, and also the broader market conditions. And certainly when we asked in our future marketing survey last year, how significant will the ability to navigate these changing customer behaviors and customer experience expectations be to your organization's success over the next 2 years? 95% were saying that it's very significant or significant. And I think this quote from, it was the head of CRM from multinational electrical and telecoms retailer. I interviewed them for one of our e-commerce trends reports. And he summed up nicely the importance of the user experience. And I think, regardless of what your size of business, this rings true for all businesses. Customer effort is the highest reason for disloyalty. If the journey is difficult or it's challenging, your customers are going to remember that. So it's really key to get those basics right. He also went on to say, focusing on creating those effortless experiences, it's the easiest way to have your customers coming back and remaining loyal. And I think, certainly as companies are trying to deliver those great experiences, a key theme that was being reinforced by interviews for our e-commerce trends report was, again, that importance of getting the basics right. Not just ensuring a good experience during the purchase process, but also that post-purchase. We've already heard about, the importance of packaging. And that, as I said, that the pandemic, if anything, it shone the spotlight on, meeting customers' expectations across all aspects of the supply chain, having that right infrastructure in place. And quite often we hear speed is touted as the most important factor in online delivery, but it's reliability as well, it's convenience and costs that are more valuable to today's customers. Just going back to that retailer I mentioned, he talked about the two most important data points for their customers are delivery time and stock availability. And that more than ever, customers are really focusing on these and their expectations are higher. He also mentioned, when they put stock information in, when they put delivery dates, they see customer engagement go up by 60%. So, it's important to think about, communicating to your customers, sending them alerts when items are back in stock, but just generally managing those expectations as well. And I think, what shouldn't also be forgotten is the impact of failed deliveries. Research reveals there's a clear opportunity if retailers can improve on failed deliveries. More than half of customers say they'll increase their level of online shopping if they feel confident about the deliveries. But over half actually say they'd be reluctant to use that retailer again if the fulfillment fails. And just as a sort of final point of this, it's also the ease of returns, thinking about that in terms of your customers. So a key message just from this sort of slide is that need to communicate to your customers, let them know what is happening. And I think, when we talk about a great customer experience, it does mean aligning every interaction across every touch point, focusing on those journeys and not channels. So when we asked respondents to our future marketing survey last year, what's going to be important to meeting customers' expectations in terms of customer experience over the next 2 years. We had 90% say, we need to have that joined up approach across teams within our business. But then we had, 84% also saying we want to try and have that single view of the customer so we can deliver that seamless experience and meet customers' expectations. Miriam kindly sort of started at the beginning of the session touching on customer journeys. Customer journey mapping is an essential tool to really, help you drive your customer experience strategy. So it's important to focus on mapping those high-level customer journeys for your key personas, who your target audience. I've just shown on this slide and the next one some sort of really easy frameworks that you can use for this as well. And the idea is to think about, what you're trying to achieve at each stage with your customers, what are the questions that they have? We saw those different phases as Miriam was talking through them. But also thinking about, what are the, not just the questions that they have, but what's the experience that they're receiving. And one of the advantages of using customer journey mapping is it really helps you identify those gaps between, what customers want and what they're actually getting. So it's all about, trying to identify any gaps. What are the blockers to delivering those great customer experiences? We call them the pains. And what are the things that would really delight your customers and give them those gains? So when you're thinking about, developing your customer experience, it is one of the things we recommend can help is creating 2 different versions of your customer journey map. So this is the current state. So, thinking about a particular customer segment or scenario, map the customer experience that the customer has. So you're trying to make it as faithful a representation as possible to what that actual journey looks like and filling in those boxes. And then here you have your future state map. So the idea here is this is an opportunity for you to create that ideal customer experience, understand all the elements that are going to contribute towards this. And then if you compare that current one, your future one, you can identify those areas for innovation or optimization. And that can really sort of then feed into how you improve those journeys. And then prioritize, what are the changes that we need to be making. Just another quick framework that can help as well is this value proposition one. So I've put a link to where you can read a bit more about this. The idea being, again, you're putting the customer's needs at the center. So on the right hand side, you're thinking about, again, what are the jobs that the customer's trying to do? And what are the things that are getting in the way, the pains, and what could actually then enhance that experience? The idea being that if you can understand what your customers are trying to achieve, you can do a much better job of trying to solve that problem. So after you've mapped those on the right hand side, move to the left hand side and you can think about, what are then going to be the features that are going to give them those gain creators, and then what are going to be the ones that help relieve some of those pain points. And I think, going back to our research, when we asked, what's required to meet customer expectations over the next 2 years, I think what was interesting that's coming out sort of top is having that deep understanding of your customers' needs, really sort of having empathy with your customers. And, what sort of fits quite nicely into that is the importance of brand purpose. Isn't new, but we're seeing more and more your customers want more than a transactional relationship with brands that they buy from. Brand purpose is about why you exist as a company beyond making money, and it should really guide everything you do. So going back to that emotional bit, it's about connecting with your customers on an emotional level. And we are seeing, customers are aligning to brands with that strong purpose and who are demonstrating it through their actions. Excuse me. And
Lynette, if I may just chime in there, it's so interesting what you're sharing here, because we do a lot of surveys with customers online, and small business. And definitely the consumer has changed their behavior, especially in the past 3 years, where they really want to know what moves the business, right? Why are you in business, and what is the background of this product, and how the businesses tell that story in their social media or their webpage makes a difference too. It has been fascinating to see.
Yeah, and I think, customers are wanting to know, what brands are doing to address social and environmental issues. You can see here, they're willing to pay more for a product if a brand's focused on being more environmental and social responsibility. But as you say, they also want to buy from brands that reflect their values and beliefs as well.
Mhm.
I know that we want to sort of open up for questions as well, but just to sort of build on some of the points that Justina was talking about as well, is that importance of delivering on the promises and sustainability. Lots of big figures in terms of the impact of waste, and it's going to be more than double the population growth by 2050. 90% of everything produced for consumers has a lifespan of less than a year. And 42% of shoppers have said they'll stop using a product or service due to a brand's track record. I think one of the interesting points as well is, consumers want more information about, what a company's doing. Not they talk about greenwashing in terms of, not saying it in terms of marketing messages, but demonstrating it through their actions. And I think, just before I sum up, I think, what we are seeing is brands are under pressure to eliminate that problematic single-use packaging. There is obviously that dichotomy between, you want to deliver convenient, effortless customer experiences, but we need to, be considering the environmental impact. We've seen some great options talked about today, but also thinking about, quite often, your customers don't necessarily want the item to arrive the next day, but they want to know when it's going to arrive. And we saw some great illustrations of, being able to sort of set expectations for customers. So I think it does come back to, really keeping your customers informed as well. And we are seeing it packaging become, a strategic issue for companies as well.
I know you're getting to the key takeaways,
right.
but I want to tell you what you say here. It is so true. That is something that we're also seeing so much in our customers. We are in 220 countries and territories, and we're seeing how they're wanting to know where my package is, how it's being moved, right? And it's just fascinating. And for micro and small, medium-sized enterprises, is also the price is very expensive, right? But that commitment to the values, at least showing how they're paying attention to that side of sustainability and environmental commitments.
And I think, like, so giving customers the options that it might be, yes, can I pay a bit more for a recyclable packaging, or yes, I'm happy to wait for 3 days, but as long as I know it arrives in 3 days and I'm choosing a more environmentally friendly option of it coming, or so I think, yeah, there's a lot of, we're seeing companies really explore lots of different options in how they deliver goods to their customers as well. And I think, just as a sort of final key summaries, it is about understanding, your customer experience capabilities. Something that I've provided at the end of the deck, which you'll get a copy of, is something that we call our customer experience scorecard. I've also added a slide with some instructions in terms of how to use that. But going back to that, focusing on the basics, getting that right in terms of the customer experience, the post-purchase, the delivery, the packaging, all the elements that make up that entire experience. And being able to adapt to changing customer behaviours. We talked about, two of us today, in terms of the importance of understanding the customer journey. That can really help you identify any pain points. And then understanding, where you can add value. Using that proposition canvas can help you identify other, options for recyclable that, might appeal to your customers, and understand any pain points. And then also connecting them with your customers on that emotional level as well. And finally, it is about delivering on your promises, whether that's from delivering packaging or on brand promises. So I won't go through these, but these are the that have been provided in the deck. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lynette. This is so interesting, and I'm going to invite Justine and Miriam to join us. Turn the camera on. So let me make certain that we're all here in the screen. So Lynette, fascinating. I love the different perspective and how it complements everything. And I know we had some questions. I'm going to go first. I think if I was looking at painting, Justine, I think you can answer this part, right? There was a question about um, having art packaging, right? Um, can you
Yeah,
can
of
you
course.
talk a little bit about it? Yes.
It says artwork. Are we assuming it's
Artwork.
paintings?
Mhm.
Okay, so if it's paintings, so it depends if this is a stretch canvas or if it's a flat canvas. But normally frame paintings or stretch canvas are there are quite a few packaging options out there, but the one that I've seen and is certified by many carriers is when you float it between two pillows and put it in a big sturdy box. So those are foam pillows that look like a little bit like when you soundproof a room. Those are the pillows. So that's usually a very safe way of shipping packaging, and then it can be replaced with like a honeycomb type of paper insert solution as well. We do have a rollers or a tube and rollers to also kind of safely roll the canvas and put it in a tube as well. So I encourage you to Google. I mean, Googling it can, a lot of solutions will pop up across a lot of different producers.
Thank you, Justine. I think they were referring about having different art on the box, but we'll ask the person to write more about it. But this is fascinating. So, Lynette, one quick question from your perspective: what are the trends that you're seeing from consultancy perspective? What have you seen those trends in terms of that movement, or what you foresee coming up, right? And that businesses need to be aware of as they talk about they're living their e-commerce experience with their customers.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously with the pandemic, we saw that huge surge of customers online. Customers are going back to physical stores as well. But I think something that I'm just finishing a report on, they are expecting that joined up experience, that omni-channel. We talk about it being seamless experience. But also, regardless of which channel they're engaging with a brand, they expect, the same level of service. They want that consistent communication. So I think a lot of it is down to, really giving, making the user experience easy on the website for them to purchase, ensuring that all the information is there for them to be able to make their decisions. So, the cost of packaging, delivery, how long it's going to take. But then, once that purchase has been made, keeping them informed throughout the sort of, and we obviously saw, a lot of issues with stock control, during the pandemic. So I think, the brands that did really well are the ones that were very transparent to their customers, very open, and, really sort of focused on the sort of communication side. And I think sustainability is, without a doubt, we're just going to see more and more focus on that going
from
forward.
that part. Thank you, Lynette. And Miriam, last but not least, 30 seconds, because I know Sarah is sending me the brain waves right now that we're almost out of time. What will be the words of wisdom from what you have heard from all of this and what you see with our customers, right? What will be that you recommend, and how are we seeing that customer experience from our own customers? We are part of a very important part of that customer experience, right? Which is that delivery. And by the way, you're on mute just in case.
Okay, so in terms of, I would say as a final tip for everybody, look at your own customer experience through the eyes of your customers and ask yourself two questions. One is, how well do you address your customer needs? And then secondly, how personalized and easy is the experience you're offering? And I think if you're able to answer those two questions, I think you're on a good path to deliver an excellent customer experience.
I love it. And you know what I love about this too is, as I was listening to you, to Lynette, and to Justina, obviously your customer might be in the UK, your customer might be in France, it might be in the US, it might be in Asia. You have different customer experiences, right? From different angles. I can tell you from Latin America, something that was very interesting is for businesses to understand that customers in the UK or in the US may expect a return policy, which in the culture is completely unheard of. Once you buy it, it's yours. There's no return. But they had to learn to change that dynamic, right? Thank you so much to the three of you for the wisdom. We are going to share the presentation and Lynette's template. I love it, Lynette. That is going to be awesome. For those of you that are watching us online or virtually, I keep forgetting that we're virtual right now, but in the recording, you will receive the information since you were registered to the event. And we appreciate very much being here, Lynette, Miriam, and Justina. Now I'm going to invite my friend Sarah, my colleague Sarah, to tell us about, Sarah, what do we have coming up next week?
Thanks, Maria Luisa. Yeah, very quickly, I'm just trying to bring up the times. Next week is our last workshop, but a really, really key one, and it's one we've gotten a lot of questions about, which is kind of trade and tariffs and navigating international trade, but we will be looking at specifically shipping UK to EU, because we know there's been some different challenges over the last couple of years because of some of the changes in regulations and procedures. So join us next week. We will have speakers from our UPS brokerage team and from PwC who will be talking about some of the VAT changes as well. So please join us. It will be at the earlier time of 1 p.m., but that will be reflected in the invites that you get.
Wonderful. I can't believe it, the last one. Isn't that awesome?
So yeah, look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Great. Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you, and get ready for next week. Send us questions if you have questions in advance that you would like us to address. Have a wonderful rest of the week. May the force be with all of you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.